Hey everybody, Vasky here. So, you remember these, right? The Quark emotes? Today I have something cool to show you. I just added a system that lets you make your own emotes and put them in the game. So let's check out how it works. I'm still in a Minecraft scene. Let's just move it over here. There you go. So first off, you're going to want to find your Quark config. It's going to be in your instance folder. If you don't know how to get there, you can just open the resource packs folder in game and then just go one level up right here. Now go to your config and find quark.cfg, open it up with your text editor, and look for emote system. Most text editors can look for using Control F. Try to find custom emotes, and you will find these two over here. Now, first thing you should do is enable the custom emote dev mode. Just give me a sec. Enable the custom emote dev mode, which allows you to change your custom emotes on the fly. This is very important to develop them. Next off, you want to think of which emote you want to make. I already made one. It's called Zombie. I'll show you that one right after. Let's make one that puts Steve's hands in the air. Let's call it hands in the air. Pretty simple, right? And now it's going to show up in the game after we add it to the Quark emotes folder over here. Now you can see my zombie one's already here. I'm going to make one new one. Let's call it hands in the air .emote. Make sure to call it .emote. That is very important. If you don't, it's not going to load. And it's empty. So let's start doing stuff. So first off, we want to define the name of our emote. So we can do this using name. And then we say we want to call it hands in the air like this. Now, important, this part over here, where you define the name of the emote, is the only part in the entire file that can have capital letters. The rest of the file must be lowercase. All lowercase, so keep your caps lock out of here. Next off, we want to say which parts of the player's body we want to use. Now, we can use the head, the body, left arm, left leg, and right leg. Just keep in mind that the body is not properly attached to the arms and the legs. So if you do rotate the body, you have a high chance that the arms and the legs will just stay floating there. You don't want that. Anyways, you want to use left arm and right arm because those are the ones we're going to put in the air. So use left arm, use right arm like this. And that tells us, okay, these are the parts of our animation we want to freeze while nothing's happening. Now let's start the animation. We do this by going animation and end. So our animation is going to go inside this block over here. Now we also need to define what type of animation we want. There are two types of animation. There is the sequence and the parallel. The sequence will do each part of the animation one by one, and the parallel will do them all at the same time. Now we want to put both hands in the air at the same time, so let's go parallel. There we go. So now that we have an animation, we can start putting move pieces in here, and the move are the ones that tells our animator to say, let's move this piece over to here. So first off, let's start by moving the left arm. So let's go move left arm, and after we say the piece we want to move, we also need to say which coordinate we want to move. So when you're rotating something in 3 degrees, there are 3 axes. There is 3 degrees, in 3 dimensions, sorry, there are 3 axes. There is the X, the Y, and the Z. Now, I know in this case we want to use the X, but if you don't know, just put a random one and play around until it looks like what you want. So let's go left arm X. And we want to move it all the way up to the top. So, first off, we need to say how long we want the animation to last. Let's just say we want 500. This is 500 milliseconds or half a second. And then we need to give it a target. Now, while our arm is just going directly downwards, that is at 0 degrees, we want to move it to 180 degrees, which is upwards. Now, when we set a target, we set a target in radians, not degrees. So 180 degrees is pi radians, and 360 degrees is 2 pi radians. If you don't know, just Google it. There's a converter there. Easy enough. So let's just go 3.14, and that is pi. Now, there's a very important thing, that is, if we just put 3.14, our arm is going to go backwards. We do not want that. We want it to go forwards. So let's put minus 3.14 to make sure it goes in the other direction. Again, this is a trial and error thing. I just happen to know that the right way is backwards. If it looks wrong, you have to figure it out yourself when you're doing the animation. Now let's do the same thing for the right arm. I'm just going to copy this over here. And right arm. There you go. And when we load up the game, the animation is going to be there. And we're going to be able to do the animation. And you're going to see the arms are going to go in the air. Now I'm going to load up the game. I'm going to have to ask you to have a little bit of patience, because when I load up the game, my CPU doesn't really like it. So the screen's going to be frozen for a bit. As you can see, just update it really quick. The screen's going to be frozen for a bit while I load up the game, and while the world is getting loaded up. I'm going to wait a bit, and then I'll show you the animation. Okay, there you go. So the game is here. The world isn't here yet. I want to show you that if you go to controls, our where is Emotes? I think it's over here. Yes, our hands in the air emote has its own keybind. Yes, even your custom emotes are assigned a keybind. For your end player, they are basically the exact same thing. There is no difference, which is very important. Anyway, let's load up the world again, and there's going to be another momentary freeze. I'll be back once it updates. Okay, give it a bit, almost there. Come on now. I believe in you, CPU. Okay, there you go, finally. So, you can see the world, let's go in third person. I'm Steve now. If you go to emotes, you can see there's a little question mark here. That's because we didn't give it an icon yet. We'll give it an icon later on. But if we click it, there you go. Our hands are properly going into the air. I'm going to show you what happens if we remove the minus from over here, by the way, just in case you were curious. You can see it just goes backwards. Let's put the minus back, and it goes forwards. All right. Now, it just kind of ends up over there. It doesn't look all that right. It just resets afterwards. So what do we do now? Well, we can say the entire animation has to repeat backwards after it's done. We can do that by saying yo-yo, and then we say how many times we want it to repeat. So let's just go one time, and we give it a delay. So let's say 1000, that's 1 second. So now the hands are going to go up, it's going to wait 1 second, and the animation is going to be repeated backwards. 1 second, and backwards. There you go. If we say 3, now it's going to do the animation multiple times. As you can see. Now, when you do yo-yo, you got to make sure to use an even number. Sorry, an odd number, because if you use an even number, this is going to happen. There you go. So it doesn't do the final animation because this is the amount of times it has to animate, even if it's upwards or downwards. So this is the first animation, and then it does 3 more. So it does 4, 2 up, 2 down. If you give it a 2, it's going to have 1 less down. We don't want that. So that's yo-yo. We can also use repeat. Repeat does not go backwards. It just repeats the animation, as you can see. There are cases where this is useful. In this case, not really, but there you go. Now let me show you what happens if we change this to sequence. It's going to do 1 at a time, as you can see. Now, what if you want to make a more complex animation with multiple pieces, and some are supposed to go at the same time, some go one after another, there's mix and matching all over the place? Well, you can use you can use sections for that. So let's go section sequence. Now let's end it, so we know the entire section is over here. Now, similarly to animation, sections can be sequence and parallel. As we know, sequence goes 1 at a time, parallel goes multiple at a time. So let's move our stuff over here. And let's call it parallel, for example. Let's go with parallel. And now let's make one that also moves the arms sideways. So let's change this from X. Let's go to Y. Now, we know you're going to do sequence. So what's going to happen here? This entire section is going to run. These two at the same time, because they're parallel. And since we're sequencing, after this section runs, this one is going to run afterwards, which is going to do both at the same time. Let's see what this looks like. There you go. Now, I should change this to Z. As you can see, it is trial and error. Doesn't work all the time. There you go. Now let's move this one to positive, so it looks proper. Okay, this one should be, let's go 1.57, which is pi divided by 2, and this can be minus 1.57. There you go. Spreads your wings. Now we can also use pause over here, and that's going to pause the animation for 2 seconds. So there you go. That is an example of mixing sections, parallels, and sequences. You can also put more stuff in here. For example, you can go move, let's just say head as well. Let's go use head. You can do another section over here. So let's go section, sequence, and let's go move head X 200 0.4. Let's go move head Y 300 0.4. It's hex. And you can see the head is going to do 2 things while the arms are moving. So there is a sequence inside a parallel animation, so these two are happening at the same time as these, but each one of these is happening one at a time, like this, see? So you can do all sorts of cool stuff. You can also pause, so you can see the animation happens in the end. Now, we have seen the ability to yo-yo and repeat an entire section or the entire animation, but you can also put yo-yo at the end of a single motion. So let's go over here, let's set it to 250 so it takes the exact same time, and we can go yo-yo 1, 0, and then the head's gonna move, and then it's gonna move backwards, as you can see. You can do repeat as well, and repeat is gonna do the same animation twice. Of course, yo-yo looks a lot nicer, so let's go back to yo-yo. There you go, now it does yo-yo. So you can attach these right at the end of a move piece, that's very easy. Another thing you can do is add a delay. So let's go 300, let's go delay 200. So this one is only gonna move after 200 milliseconds. So if you run this, you can see there's a little bit of a delay on the left arm. Sorry, yeah, the right arm, we're looking from the front. So you can see a little bit of a delay because we added delay over here. Easy enough, that's what you can do with delay. Now, let's comment all of this out. I'm just gonna make a lot of cursors. And comment all of this out. There you go. Now, all of this here is no longer going to be red. You can use the pound sign as a comment. So if you try to run the animation now, nothing happens because none of these are being read. Let's try moving our arm, do a complete 360. So let's go move left arm X 1000, and we're gonna go 6.28, that is 2 times pi. And you're gonna do the same thing for the right arm. I'm gonna set it today real quick. And as you can see, it does the rotation just fine. I'm gonna change this to parallel because it's gonna make sense in a little bit. It does the rotation just fine. Oh, it's probably raining here. There you go. So it does the rotation just fine. Now what if we want to repeat this rotation? Just make it rotate a lot. So let's go repeat 5 with no delay. You can see there's a little bit of a weird delay in the end. It slows down. That's because there is what is called an easing on the animation. If we go over here to, that's the FeedB subreddit. If you go to easings.net, you can see a bunch of functions. The default one, I believe, is this one over here. So you can see it kind of slows down towards the end. We don't want that. We want to make sure it's linear. So let's go over here and let's say ease linear and ease linear. And now when we rotate it, it's going to look just fine. As you can see, there is no easing, no slowing down. It just goes straight up as it shows over here on the graph. Now you can use all these other ones as well. So let's change this to 3.14 again. 0.14. And I'm going to comment out the repeat. So the hands are going to go in the air now. Oops, of course we have to go negative. The hands are going to go in the air really slowly. Now what if we want to make them just kind of bounce? So we want to use this one over here. It's called in bounce. Now to figure out the name you want, first off you just remove the ease. And you take this and just put underscores between them. So instead of using linear, we're going to use in bounce. In bounce. And if you look at the hands now, check it out. They're bouncing. Looks cool, right? You can also mix this with yo-yo as well. So we can do yo-yo 1, 0. And now it's going to bounce down as well. Right? Cool. So that's what you can use with ease to do some other effects with the animation. Now, you might have realized the zombie one has a sprite. Ours doesn't. That's because we have a zombie.png file over here, which matches with our zombie.emote. So if you have a file called whatever.emote, you can also have a whatever.png, and it's going to load up over here as if it were a sprite. And you can see, you can't tell the difference. It just looks like a normal Quark emote. Let's show you what the zombie emote looks like. You can see it's a bit more complex. There's a little example of a comment over here. It uses multiple pieces. It's parallel. And there's a lot of different movements going on. We use yo-yos. We use multiple sequences. I'm going to run it and you can see what it looks like. There you go. So the arms are moving, the head is moving, and then it's going to go back to default. There you go. That is because we have a sequence over here which takes care of putting everything in the right place and then goes back to default. That is very important. This one over here brings everything back to 0. So that's what zombie looks like, and we have our sprite over here. Yeah, so that's basically everything you need to know about making custom emotes in Quark. Hopefully make some cool ones. Also, another thing I want to show you, the Quark emotes are also written in this system. So if you want to show off the weep emote, you see, it's another complex one. The weep emote is also made in the system, so if you find a Quark emote you'll like, you can look at how it's done, and you can take that as an inspiration to make your own. So hopefully you come up with some cool emotes, and hopefully there's some nice ones to integrate later. Maybe I'll add some to the mod itself later on. Alright, well, I hope you have fun with the feature, and I'll see you next time.